My name is Adam Cox. I'm a phobia expert, also known as the Phobia Guru, based on my track record of helping people eliminate their phobias in just a single session. Now, carcinophobia is the extreme irrational fear of cancer. Now, cancer is one of the leading causes of death in Western society. So it's quite natural for people to have a level of anxiety around the idea or the possibilities of having cancer. That's completely understandable. But someone with carcinophobia is going to be someone that thinks about and constantly evaluates the possible risk of cancer in almost all cases. This is the kind of person that is going to be very much affected by newspaper headlines that show perhaps increasing rates or high-profile cases of maybe celebrities or well-known people that are diagnosed or die of cancer. They tend to do lots and lots of research on the causes of cancer. So whereas a person without this fear might be at some level apprehensive of doing certain things that may link to cancer. So some people might be aware, for example, that people with obesity have higher rates of cancer, or if you were to smoke, you are more likely to have something like lung cancer, for example. But someone with a phobia of cancer is going to obsess about all these details. So if they are close to someone that is a smoker, for example, then this idea of passive smoking could actually cause an anxiety or panic attack based on this link between passive smoking and lung cancer. Or, for example, sometimes you get popular myths in the media about certain food types having a link to cancer, such as processed foods, for example, or certain types of meats. Now, if someone has researched that, then even just the concept, the idea of having food like that is going to make them feel that there is an absolute risk of cancer. And the key thing is, it is not cancer itself that they are frightened of, that they have the fear of. It is the idea of cancer. And it tends to be very much a compulsive thought that plays on their mind a lot. So even very simple things become challenging for them to do because the cancer itself is linked to very much the stimulus associated with the possible cause of cancer. In the same way that someone that has a fear of germs, for example, might have a perception that certain places are unhygienic and they then have a compulsion to wash hands. Someone with a fear of cancer will go to extreme lengths to avoid certain things. And that might involve different types of compulsion. So rather than just avoiding places that might be smoky or avoiding certain foods, they might have a real sense of feeling like they must exercise and they must drink, let's say, lots of water or something like that. There's a real feeling of uncertainty and anxiety, which causes them to do what to the outsider would seem quite extreme. Now, this is not a simple phobia. This is what's known as a situational phobia because it requires constant evaluation. In many ways, it's linked to other phobias such as thanatophobia, the fear of death. Because cancer is seen in many cases to be a death sentence, there is this kind of perception that cancer equals death, and therefore the causes of cancer automatically mean death. Now, you can understand why the subconscious mind would have this fight or flight response, because biologically we have this reaction to things that could cause our death. This is why our ancient ancestors have this kind of sympathetic nervous system, this ability that if we are perceived to be at risk or a threat of death, then this ability for the body to release huge amounts of adrenaline and the kind of things that could enable us to fight off a predator is really, really useful. It's just not useful to evaluate things as deadly as a carcinogen. That's where the name carcinophobia comes from. The carcinogen is the root meaning cancer. Therefore, there's lots of things that have a possible low probability link to cancer. For example, petrol fumes, for example, or even this idea of electromagnetic radiation there are certain studies that show that there is links and correlation with certain types of brain cancer. To someone with this phobia, those thoughts are going to be recurring thoughts that just play on their mind. And that means that they are going to be very anxious and very restless. Now, this is quite a rare phobia, so I've not worked with that many people. I've only worked with 2 or 3 people that actually have the specific fear of cancer, but many more that have this fear of death. But the structure of this fear is very, very similar, and that is that it requires a lot of an internal thought process to go from being in a calm state to being in a very anxious state. And that's why it's very useful not to see general help. You know, here's what's going to happen if you went to a doctor and you said that you have this kind of panic attack or anxiety attacks around cancer. They are going to probably label it as severe anxiety, and they're going to prescribe drugs such as beta blockers, which are going to potentially manage the symptoms, but not the cause of the anxiety. And by the way, those prescription medication is also going to have side effects which aren't ideal anyway. So it's better to actually deal with the key root of this particular phobia. And the way that I do that is I use a combination of things like clinical hypnotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, every single technique that has been proven to have breakthroughs at helping people deal with phobias are the ones that I use. So I don't just use one approach. I will use all the different approaches depending on the individual that I'm working with. So some people will choose to work with me one-on-one at my clinic in Harley Street in central London. For people that may be based in other parts of the world, and I've worked with people in Canada, in Dubai, South Africa, literally all around the world, using this broadcast quality microphone, high quality video. So the Skype calls that I do are not from a camera phone. They're using technology that is almost as good as if I'm physically there, so I can actually help people one-on-one, even if they can't be in London or in the UK. And I've also created a 7-day course, which is not tailored to a specific phobia, but has all the key ingredients that can help eliminate phobias in general. And you would then apply that to the specific phobia that you have. So there are a variety of ways. The key thing I want you to really get from this is that if you do have a fear of cancer and it's a recurring thought and you've just kind of constantly got this feeling of, do I have it? There's this constant perception of, do I have cancer? Could I get cancer? It's a recurring thought and lots of graphic images about what it could mean if you do have cancer. Very unpleasant, and it can be eliminated, and it can be eliminated in literally just a session or 2. If you are interested right now, on my website phobiaguru.com, I've actually created a video which explains what phobias are, why we have phobias, and how they can be eliminated. And that video is available free of charge just by putting your name and email in a form, and then you can access that video. And that video is quite useful to give you the background of what phobias are all about and the kind of techniques that I use to help people eliminate phobias. So I hope this video has been useful. It's a very horrible thing if you have this phobia of cancer. I empathize massively with you, but just know that you don't have to have this fear if you don't want it. So for more information, please visit phobiaguru.com, and I look forward to seeing you there. Take care.